Man, that was a misclick. Did you guys catch it? I saw a quick little configuration error. I tried to correct right as I was supposed to hit the go live button. Anyway, we're here. It's the 7th of February. Hey, don't forget, public service announcement. 14th is Valentine's Day. Don't forget, get your sweetheart something. If there's a female in your life, boys, don't forget. You don't want to forget. I got mine. I'm good. I'm all set. So make sure you get after that. All right, let's get started. It looks like Shane was in first. Man, when Shane's alive and not doing family stuff, he's just beating you guys like redheaded stepchildren. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why you all are just letting him run over you like that. He's like Patrick Mahomes, you know, and the rest of you are just also Rands. Is anybody going to take the crown away from Hobie, or are you just going to let him have? I mean, I got nothing but love for Hobie, but I'm just saying, man, Hobie's been smashing you guys. He's first again, and he had to sign into his YouTube account and first on the like whip. You got to give him credit, man. He's on it. Johnny Stancil was here. Never first. Got to get here early. You do. Randy Hardy, here we go, he says. Jerry Gunn is here. Hello. Micah Corhonen says, tell me when you start testing EdgeTX 2.11 so I can give you a copy of Battery 4.0. That must be Spider. I'm looking forward to it. I'll take a look at that. Sir Trumpington is here. How are you? Mitch Gentry, hello from Illinois. Where in Illinois, Mitch? I'm an Illinois native. Robert Orleb is here, hoping to make it back in time from work. Man, Robert, you're working too hard, dude. It's 1930. It's 1930. You should be home watching the PilotJam, or at least driving home, right? Wowsy says waiting. Mr. Skywriter from the great state of Massachusetts is here. Good evening from cold and snowy Massachusetts, he says. Cold and snowy. Jesus, man, I went out for my exercise today. I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and I was still hot. It was like 78 degrees. Well, it was actually, I'm not going to lie. Today was actually really nice. It was like 74, 73 degrees outside for my exercise today, and it was kind of nice. It really, shorts and a t-shirt weather, didn't sweat. It wasn't cold. It was kind of perfect. I'm just saying, man, there's a reason. We suffer in the summer. We do suffer in the summer. It happens. So, all right, let's see. Good. Let's see who's next. Todd Mosley. We got been working on a brand new 67-inch Edge 540 that I picked up in Cummins, Georgia today. Very nice. Did you get the red and white scheme, or the blue and yellow, or what did you get there? The white and red. What'd you get? Let's hear about it. HB Jeff says happy Friday, all. Robert, you need to do something about that work issue. He does. David Parker's here. How you doing, Dave? Hobie says, unfortunately, so he beat you guys like rented mules on the first game, and now he's going to go about tonight and do some family stuff. Smash that like button. Freddie says, thank God it's Friday. Amen, brother. And let's see, Shannon Cole. Hey, Shannon's here. How you doing, Shannon? Glad you can make it. Johnny Stancil we got. And let's see, Mr. FMG010. Good evening, he says. How are you? Jay Maselli says hello. Philip Jang is here from Australia. Stan Heaton, how you doing, Stan? And North 49 RC, very nice of you to hit North 49 RC, hit the like button or hit the tip jar. Thanks for that, man. Appreciate it. Just getting back into the hobby, huh? Okay. Lance's RC helicopter and handrail installation. Okay. Lance, is that Lance from back in the day? How about that? Wes, that guy flying the SR is awesome. That was Wes. Oh, Wes from Motion RC. Very good. How you doing, Wes? Good. Glad you can make it. That guy from I got it. I see him a little slow on the uptake, but not completely lost. Glad you could join us, Wes. Fast Freddy, Robert, we got all those guys. Okay. I think we got everybody. So let's get down to business. We got material to cover tonight. That's for sure. Week in review. Let's start with that. And, in the week in review, oh, Robert Burrows here. How you doing? Week in review, we started out with Bert flying the Il Goblin Pro, and that was at the RC Video Reviews fly-in on last weekend before last. And after that, Bert kind of gave us a little status check on how things are going with Rotor Flight and Radio Master. And he's been digging in, and that's kind of, don't tell Bert, but this is what I was hoping for. See, here's the deal. Bert's a super smart guy and highly skilled helicopter pilot. So my nasty little strategic chessboard dirty strategy was to put the best helicopter I had flying Rotor Flight in his hands. And he even told me, he said, man, I don't want to crash your stuff. I said, I don't care about the helicopter. Just fly it. And if it crashes, so be it. I'll fix it. And he goes, are you sure? And I said, trust me. Just go do it, man. Do your thing. And the objective was to get it in his hands and let him fly it. And then I knew if it was set up right and the radio worked right, I knew he would say, I need to check into this. And it worked. So he's been digging in. He's been digging in hard, and he's really becoming an expert in the field, which is exactly what we needed in rotor flight. We've got experts like Rob Burrow, right? Rob's highly knowledgeable. Obviously, Jonah's pretty smart. The developer's pretty smart. But the idea is it's got to get out in the hands of the people out at the fields flying, right? The more that we can do and the more collective knowledge we can gather up, the more the platform will evolve. And it is working. I'd say that Bert is really... He really immersed himself into the ecosystem, which makes me super excited because I know what will come out of that and he's doing it on his own with no further prompting. He's doing the videos, right? That was the key. He's now doing the videos. So keep an eye on Bert's channel. If you haven't subscribed and you want to learn rotor flight, go check out Bert's channel because he's super knowledgeable about PIDs. He's got some developer support, and he's super skilled on the sticks. So when it comes to tuning, he's another person that I'll listen to along with Rob Burrow, who's right here in the chat, right down there, Rob Burrow. So anyway, glad to have those guys along for the ride, and super excited to see. And man, he's got that old Goblin Pro just freaking locked in. He's got it locked in. It's flying great, and the video proves that. Next up was, if you're on Discord, you got this one. If you're not on Discord, you didn't. But Freddie was flying a 48-inch Extreme Flight MXS. Freddie is officially out of the closet. He's no longer a closet plankster sexual. He's out of the closet. Freddie is a planker. And if he tries to tell you he's not, you can go ahead and feel free to call him out on his BS, because I'm telling you right now, Freddie flies fixed wing. He's a good helicopter pilot, but he actually flies fixed wing better than he flies helicopters. And that says a lot because he's a pretty good helicopter pilot. So there you go. It's out. I said it. You heard it here first. Freddie's out of the closet. Then we had the SR-71 Blackbird video. So Wes is here from Motion RC. He joined us. I'm glad to have you, Wes. And that's the video right there, just released. A lot of excitement around that one. You can tell by the hits. That video is getting hits. By the way, I'm going to tell you guys right now the way YouTube works. When you post a video, when it's the video, the late video, I believe they promote it the most on the channel. So whatever video comes next, they promote that one, and they'll start de-emphasizing some of the older stuff. And for that reason, because there's still a lot of traction on the SR-71 video, after the live session is over tonight, I will be unlisting the live stream because I want the SR-71 video to keep getting those hits, man. I want that juicy YouTube money. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to take the live stream down, let the SR-71 video run its course. A lot of interest in that video. Then I'll relist the PilotJam. So I'm just telling you guys where it is. I will put the link for the PilotJam. It's already in the Discord. So if I'm just going to unlist it, okay, that's all I'm doing. It's not going to go away. We're just unlisting it, okay? We'll put it back up later. It'll be unlisted. So that's that. Wes, great job flying. Thanks for the tour. Wes did a really nice job walking us through the SR-71, walking us around. And when we did that video, I told you guys last week there was going to be a top secret video. This was the video. And I actually had it published, or not published, but posted and ready to release. But the agreement was Motion RC had to release theirs first, and I had to wait a day. So day after theirs released, I let mine out. And there we go. So the SR-71 video is out there. And, I can tell you, looking at the comments, there's a lot of back and forth on this airplane. I think it's going to be one of those love-hate planes. You're either going to love it or hate it. But we'll get into that in the QA. We'll talk about that. And tonight we're going to talk about airframes. I've got some things to talk about on airframes. We're going to talk about airframes tonight. And the SR-71 might be one of the topics we'll get into a little bit. So anyway, that was that. And then that was it, the PilotJam. So after the free wing video, I just let that one sit out there and stew for a little while, getting the views and getting the view count up. So there it is, the SR-71, beautiful airplane. It's very cool. I mean, it's an American icon, right? That thing had a real history. Set a lot of records that are still intact today, and it's an amazing. I had an uncle that was in the Air Force, and he was in traffic control, and he used to tell me when with normal Air Force jets, you'd have a radar scope and you'd watch, the jets go across the scope, right? When they went across, he goes, when we got an SR-71, you'd see blip, blip, gone. It was gone. So it's kind of funny to hear that. He was actually Air Force. He was an E9 or E10. I don't know if he made E10 or not, but he was an E9 for sure. He was way up there, way up there. So anyway, very cool. So that's the week in review. And now we can get started. We can get going into some content. So first up is about Dave. And Dave's been busy. So why don't we just cut to it? Let's cut to the About Dave segment. Here we go.
Well, we had a little mishap with this plane. We managed to run out of electrons on it. Oh, well, that's all right. A little excitement. Yeah. Telemetry will take care of that, I know. But it's exciting and nice. Anyways. All right, so I managed to break the one wheel pants, and before I bought it from John, he had managed to break the same wheel pant, but he gave me the new ones. Anyway, so now I got 2 broken wheel pants of the same side. Isn't that something? All right, so we're gonna work on them. I'll do the best I can to kind of document it for you guys to see it. I'm no professional at this, but I can fix them. All right, so they're broke, both of them. That one's busted also. It looks better than it is, actually. It's all busted. Anyways, and the other side is busted. So that's my materials: epoxy, denatured alcohol, acetone, super glue, tape, and boom, sandpaper later, some masking tapes, paper towels. That's the best I could do for paint. And it's got, though, something I've been looking for. The variable nozzles. That's important for me, because I always find myself trying to, just to pull the can away to not have so much paint hit the surface I'm trying to paint for runs and stuff like that. Anyways, there you go. When I have an update, I'll do another little video. All right, see you. Bye. All right. Well, we continuing. There they are. Some fiberglass inside. They're pretty busted up. Okay. All right, so we rebuild them with tape on the outside, line it all up, and then put some cloth in. I use epoxy right there. Epoxy. All right, we'll continue to fix them and show the progress. Okay, later. All right, well, we're getting ready to go fly tomorrow, but a couple of things got in the way, I guess. I was going to take that guy. I guess we'll be next week. Anyways, what we were talking about is, here is the progress so far on the wheel pants. Took the tapes off, started sanding everything off. Did a little reinforcing on the inside. It's getting pretty good right there. Now we got that's the one. And here is the other one. There you go. It's getting there. It's not done. What I'm going to do now is I drop a couple drops of CA in a few places to hold it better. And now I got to sand them all, knock the shine completely off of it so the paint will stick. Use some fill-in primer and sand them off and see how they look. If I like them, then we'll throw a first coat of paint, which, like I said, it's that one over there. And I'll be trying my variable nozzle for the first time, which I was looking for that a long time ago. Yeah, there you go. And you know, why am I doing this? This is a little bit of work, yes. And the wheel pants are about $25 at Extreme Flight, 20 to 25. But when they don't have them, when they're out of stock, then there you go. And the only thing I had to buy to fix them was the can of paint. Everything else is stuff I have. I had here, the fiberglass, the Z-epoxy, the CA, the tape, the sandpaper, everything. So there you go, guys. There you go. When they are done, which I'm not sure, probably won't be next week, because I can't work on them. This couple of weeks is family time. I got to do some jobs around the house. So when they're done, I will make another little video. All right. We will see you. Hasta la vista.
All right, there you go. And I'm telling Johnny just asked Dave the question about, hey, lack of telemetry on the Futaba convince you to switch to EdgeTX. He's actually got a TX16S with Express LRS, and he's starting to work on some transition work. But we have to kind of, Dave is very methodical, so he'll work his way there. You just got to put the tools in his hand, help him out, and he'll make his way over. I'm sure of it. I'm convinced. I'm convinced it'll happen. It's just a matter of time. It's just time. That's all it is. So that's the About Dave segment. Dave, as always, my friend, I called him today when I was preparing for the live stream. I said, "Hey man, I don't have an About Dave segment tonight. What's up? What are you doing? You fell asleep at the wheel on me." He was like, "Oh," and he went and sent me material. So yeah, we're gonna try and keep that a permanent part of the show. Little About Dave segment. I like it. I have fun with it. All right, so thanks, Dave, for sharing, and very neat. I think that's something that we could probably expand on too a little bit, because I'm not. Dave is a modeler. We have people who are modelers. I can do certain stuff. I just don't like to. I'm just, I still work a day job, and by the end of the year, I don't want to get all that stuff out and mess around. I just kind of want to fly. I'm more about the flying, and Dave's a good modeler. So I think maybe we'll emphasize that a little bit. Give you guys some build tips, maybe, or repair tips. Repair tips. That's a good one. Repair tips, Dave? Huh? I like the sound of that. All right, that's the About Dave segment. Let's move on. All right, we're going to talk about airframes. And in the airframes thing, I told you guys we're going to have some stuff to talk about on this. So let me I have some notes. And on the airframes bit, the idea, we're just gonna chat a little bit. And the reason we're gonna chat is because of that plane right there. When I was watching that plane fly, and I've seen others like it, I've flown other planes similar to that. Not, a little different than the SR-71, but the point is that that's a purpose-built plane. And I'd say in the case of that one, it's a scale plane, right? So we've actually, when we saw that fly, Dave, Freddie, we all talked. I saw lots of comments on the video about it. And I thought, yeah, we really gotta think about compartmentalizing planes, because the reality is there's a lot of points of view, and the SR-71 really brought out some back and forth in the comments. And what I have in mind, what I saw some people say, "Man, it's just foam. It's $700 for just foam. That's crazy." And I have other people in the comments say, "Take my money. I can't wait to get one." And it's everything in between. So it really, I said earlier in the show, it's kind of a love-hate thing with the plane like that. And the reason is because it has a very specific purpose. In radio control, and Freddie, by the way, has seen this in the helicopter space. We talk about it all the time. People, he'll go out with a helicopter and fly and do 3D stuff, and certain people will watch the flights and go, "Why do you do that? A real helicopter can't do that." So the moral of the story is that, and I say this, you guys know the answer here, right? If you follow the channel, you know the answer already. Your money, your hobby. If it makes you happy, you're not wrong. So don't worry about what anybody says about the plane. If it makes you happy, you're right. That's the bottom line. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the airframes. So the first thing I want to say, and this has to go with conversations that I've seen in helicopters, in fixed wing. I wouldn't say quads so much, because quads are a special breed, but I'd say for helicopters and fixed wing, the first general rule, bigger is better. Get the biggest thing that you can afford to crash, right? So John's guidance, that'd be rule number one. Fly the biggest thing you can afford to crash. So if you can't afford to crash an 85-inch plane, then don't buy one, right? If you can't afford a 78, then don't buy one. But if you can afford to crash a 67 and you could replace it, then get it and fly that. And the reason I say it is because, and by the way, it applies for helicopters too. 700, if you can afford to crash a 700 and replace the blades, then fly one of those. Same with a 580, a 500, a 420, a 380, and so on, right? And let me explain why I say that. Larger planes fly better, period. They just do. I can say with a certain amount of emphasis that I've flown everything from little tiny dot. What is that? The Zod Dart. Little 250 gram EPP plane. You know what I'm talking about? A little FPV plane. I've flown everything from that size. And my largest plane is 85-inch. Now, I know they're bigger. And I know there are a lot of guys being like, "Well, John, why don't you fly a 104? Or why don't you fly a 125? Because I can't fit it in my car." That's the other thing stopping me. And then, the question of a trailer comes up, which I'm not going to buy. So 85 inches is the largest I can deal with right now, okay? But the bigger planes simply fly better. They handle better. They handle the wind better. They produce, I don't want to say more lift because that's a misnomer. But what I would say is that their wing loading ratios are fine. They're good. But the wing loading ratios on smaller 3D planes, for example, are also good. So you got to be careful saying that they fly better for that reason. But they do things like they handle the wind better. They're easier to see. You can fly them farther and still see them. Orientation's easier. They just do better in the sky. So bigger is better. If you can, fly the largest plane you can, or model you can afford to fly. Now let's talk about foam versus balsa. And I see this one all the time. There's it's really funny to me because there are people out there that have this idea that if you don't build, you're not a real RC pilot, which I call poppycock on that. I don't care what anybody says. If building is your thing, that's fine. Your money, your hobby. If you want to build and you're into balsa and forming, and you can tell by Dave, right? Dave's got some skills here. He knows how to handle covering. He can repair fiberglass. If that's what you're into, that's fantastic. Your money, your hobby. Build away and be happy. But that doesn't mean you can't be a good pilot. In fact, I'd argue the other point. I've seen pilots that probably couldn't build an airplane that are really super good sticks, right? So I don't think one connects to the other. My point being that if you want to fly radio control and not build, that's fine. If you want to build and not fly, that's fine. The one thing that I would say is that whatever you fly, you should understand your equipment, right? You should understand how the controls work, how the power system works, how the helicopter works, right? You should not be flying big planes and big helicopters unless you have an understanding of how it all comes together. So this whole issue of foam versus balsa, I would say, and build versus buy, first off, it's up to you. And don't let anybody shame you. If you're not a builder, who cares? So what? If you just want to buy a foamy and fly foamy, then go do it. It's your money, your hobby. You're not wrong if that's what you choose to do. And then when it comes to foam versus balsa, I'd say there are advantages and disadvantages in both cases. In the case of balsa, let's face it, balsa planes look good. Most people will argue that they fly really well because they're rigid. And, it's hard to argue with how cool shrink covering is, right? It looks really cool. And they just tend to be, it's like they have this aura of being the more premium choice. That said, look at that airplane right there on the table. That's foam plane. It looks fantastic. It's foam, but it looks really cool. You can do things with foam that you can't do with balsa, like those edges along the side that Wes pointed, and that really crisp line that he talked about. And I'm not saying it can't be done with wood, but it's harder, right? And the other thing that I would say is when it comes to balsa and foam, if you crash a balsa plane well, it can be very challenging to put that back together, right? If you do it right, if you crash the way I crash, then you turn it into a pile of toothpicks, and you're looking at a rekit. Now, I'm not saying, with EPO, if you crash EPO, you can't turn it into a pile of, EPO parts that is impossible to glue together. However, what I would say is I think EPO crashes a little easier than balsa. So now, if you crash an EPO plane, I'd say it's probably easier to put it together. Now, will it always look the same? No. Will it always fly the same? No, because you're adding glue, and now you're going to have glue seams. It's going to look like a Frankenplane. All that stuff is true, but you don't necessarily lose your model, and you can make an investment in getting it back up to scratch on the cosmetics front. So the moral of the story is, when it comes to foam versus balsa, I don't care. Fly what makes you happy. If the balsa plane makes you happy, then go do it. If the foam plane makes you happy, then fly that. And I'd say there are pros and cons to both, and there is no correct single answer. And the proof is in the economics of the situation. If nobody were buying foam planes, nobody would sell foam planes. And the same goes for balsa. If nobody were buying balsa, nobody would sell it. So there's a market for both. And the bottom line answer is do what makes you happy, right? If it makes you happy, then do it. If flying a scale warbird around in circles, doing a few loops, maybe a few rolls makes you happy, then do that. If flying with your hair on fire, 3D stick slamming, and doing flat spins and all that, look at that helicopter. If that's what makes you happy, then do that. The point of the story is Go fly something. That's the point. Enjoy the hobby. And don't let other people talk down to you just because you have a personal choice. That's the point, right? It's about flying, and it's about enjoying model aviation. That's the point, right? And whatever you do, whatever form that takes for you, I really don't care. But what I care about is, and that's why my tagline on every single video ends with go fly something. It doesn't say go fly a helicopter. It says go fly something. That's the point. All right. So that's it. That's my talk about airframes. I just wanted to do it because, there's a lot. It's almost like there are cliques out there, right? It's almost like high school. If you listen to the commentary and look at what people say, oh, foam is crap, I'm not going to fly a beer cooler around, or balsa, they're terrible because they turn into toothpicks, or helicopters because you can't, real helicopter can't do that, so why are you flying it like that? Man, I don't have time for all that stuff. Fly what makes you happy. It's your money, it's your hobby, right? Do what makes you happy. That's the bottom line. That's how I see it. All right. Next up, oh yeah, EdgeTX secrets. I'm gonna blow your guys' mind tonight. You guys are gonna be like, poof, mind blown. I'm gonna show you stuff tonight, and you're gonna be like, what the hell, black magic is this? You're gonna be, I'm telling you, just wait for it. It's gonna happen. All right, I gotta clean up the desktop a little bit, and we're gonna switch over to my workspace, which is here, and I'm gonna bring up the camera, which is there. Oh, by the way, before I do the camera, I wanted to show this to you. These are available retail now. You check all the sites that carry Radiomaster gear, and they have these switch nuts now. And what's cool about it is you can pull this out and switch. So if you have larger switch nuts, it'll work for those, and it'll work for smaller ones. And these are for these little guys right here. So you just pop that on top, right? And you can put it in the little notch there on the switch nut and tighten things up, and it's beautiful. Works great. Somebody mentioned 3D printing. I've tried a couple 3D printed versions of these, and they never last. The little tabs break right off, and as soon as you try and wrench it down just a little bit so it doesn't come loose, that's when they break. So I've had zero luck with 3D. I've tried all kinds of different materials, even including PETG, CF, PLA, of course, never does. That never works. The only one I haven't tried is TPU. So if you try TPU, let me know. That's a little joke if you're a 3D printer, but these are available retail. I think they're like $9. Nice to have in a little toolkit. These are by Radiomaster. I got this one. Radiomaster for the holidays, they sent me a nice little care package, and this was in it. So thanks, Radiomaster. Very cool. And go get yourself one of these. This is a great tool to have, especially if you've ever worked on your radio and your toggle switches have come loose. It's really nice to be able to have that and pop that on there and tighten things back up again. Very nice tool. Okay. All right. Time to blow your minds. Yeah, I'm really going to screw with you people tonight. So brace yourselves. I'm going to show you, we have a couple things to talk about on EdgeTX. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in, if I can get this cable long enough here, I'm going to plug this in, and I'm going to select on the screen SD card. Okay, so I'm choosing SD card. There we go. Now we're SD card, and now I'm going to bring up companion. Now I hope you guys are ready, because I'm telling you, I am going to really screw with you here. You're all going to be like, what the hell? All right, let's see if this is mounted. I don't know if it mounted yet. Give me a second. We got to find out if it mounted. It did. Okay, so it should read. There it is. There's my radio. Okay, if you use companion, you've probably seen this before, right? And okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to cover a couple of points about what you're seeing here. Notice up right here on the top bar, the screen says document 1 ETX. ETX stands for EdgeTX. Okay, and in this document, what you're seeing is a list of all my models that are on this radio. Okay, these are my models that I have on this radio. Now, if you save this document, File, Save As, and I know that was a pop-up window and you couldn't see it, but that's okay. And what I'm going to do is on my desktop, I'm going to make a folder, and I'm going to call it TX16S Mark II. Okay, so and we'll call it ETX, so we're not confused about what's going on there. I'm going to create that folder, and I'm going to save this John's Radio. All right, we're going to save that in that folder. Now I'm going to bring that folder up, and this is the part it's going to blow your mind. You're going to be like, what is this black magic? All right, there's the ETX file. Okay. Now, what's so nice about the ETX file is that if you have another radio, another TX16S, you could take this ETX file, open it in Companion. So you can, like here, we can close this, and then we can go File. I know you can't see the desktop, but I'm just doing File Open in the top there. And all I did was click File Open, and I'm going to navigate to where that ETX file is, and I'm going to hit Open. And when I do that, you're going to see all of my models are there, and all my radio settings are there. So if I click on radio settings, all of my settings are in there as well. Okay, that's what's in an ETX file. It's my models, my radio settings. Okay, so that's the ETX. The nice thing about that is that if I have a different radio, say I have another TX16S like a backup, I can just take that ETX file and put it on that other radio, run a calibration, and all my settings and models will be there. Right, very cool. Make sure you're on the same version of firmware when you do that. So if you're on, in this case, I'm on 2.10.5 right up here. Make sure that if you do that little trick, that you're also on 2.10.5 on the receiving radio. All right. Okay, so that's the trick with the ETX file. But here's the part that's going to mess with you. If I take this ETX file, and if I try and double click that, the computer won't know what the hell to do with that. Windows won't know what to do with it. Mac doesn't know what to do with it. But watch this. If I were to go in here and just change that ETX and change that to .zip, I think most of you are familiar with zip files, right? So all I did was change the extension to .zip. That's it. That's all I did. And if I double click that, look what happens. It now unpacks that ETX file. And what folders do we see here? Interesting. We see models and radio. This is secrets revealed. Okay. So radio.yaml, these are your radio settings. Remember, I told you if you use the ETX file on Companion and use that on another radio, it's going to copy all your radio settings. Notice the version here at the top, 2.10.5. It's a TX16S radio, and here's all the settings for my radio on this particular TX16S, this one right here, okay? Now, it's not a good idea to take an ETX file from a TX16S and drop it on a Boxer, or from a TX16S 4-in-1 to maybe somebody else's TX16S, because if you do that, you'll blow up all their settings. So whatever they have for settings, if you copy that radio YAML file over, it blows up all their settings. All their global functions are gone. Their switch checklists are gone. Their enabled features are gone. They're all going to be switched over to the way you set yours up. Their hardware definitions are gone. So you have to be careful with that radio YAML file. Radio YAML, that file, which is contained, I just showed you guys, it is contained inside the ETX file. If you use that radio YAML file on another radio, it's basically saying it's a TX16S with all the settings that I have. You're now mirroring that on another radio. Now, one of the cool things about the radio YAML file is if you go into the radio itself. So I'm over here on my radio, and now I'm going to click on radio, and that radio YAML file, that's the YAML file on the radio itself. If I delete that, and then I delete the models, everything in this models folder, all these files, which are the same group of files that were in this zip file, right? It's my models and my radio.yaml. If you delete these two folders, functionally, you've reset the radio to scratch, okay? You reset the radio to scratch. Now, the problem with that is now you've got to go in and redefine all your switch hardware. So if you delete this, you're going to have to go in and redefine all your switch hardware, make sure all your hardware is set up correctly, and you'll have to calibrate the radio. But that effectively resets the radio. So if I were to go into my TX16S folder here and go into models and basically just delete everything here, and then go into my radio folder and delete everything here, that's a full reset, baby. The only thing you're not changing is your firmware. Your firmware stays the same because remember, firmware is written into a chip on the radio itself. Everything else that you touch is on the SD card on the radio. You understand the difference? So these files on the SD card here, they do not have anything to do with the firmware itself. The firmware is written to the ROM. And you can prove that because all you have to, if you want to prove it, turn your radio off, take your SD card out, and then turn the radio on. It will still boot up. It'll complain that it doesn't have storage, but it'll still run. That's because the firmware is inside the hardware on the radio. Now, all the other software that we interact with, including the radio configuration, all of our models, all of our widgets, they are all contained on the SD card. There are no hidden directories on this card. Everything that the radio interacts with can be seen on the SD card. Now, I said you functionally reset the radio. There are a few exceptions to that, of course. And the exceptions might be just erasing the models. Let me open this window up. Just erasing the models in the radio YAML does not change your tools menu. It doesn't change your widgets, any scripts that you have installed. It doesn't change that, okay? So it's not a pure reset. If you want to do a pure reset, then you erase the entire contents of the SD card and reinstall it using any method, either from GitHub or from the Buddy Flasher online. Any of those will work. You can completely erase the SD card and start from scratch. But if you just want to reset the radio and keep all your scripts, then you can do that by blowing that away and blowing this folder away. In fact, I'd encourage you guys, make a backup copy of your SD card and try it. Delete the radio YAML file and see what happens. As long as you have a backup, you can simply put it back on your SD card and you'll be right back to where you started. Remember, there are no hidden files when it's not like the Windows registry. You remember that? You guys, Windows people, you remember the Windows, right? You know about the Windows, right? It's not like that. There's not a whole bunch of hidden keys all over the place. It's all right here in this radio YAML file, okay? So these are what I mean by EdgeTX secrets revealed. I wanted to show you guys that because I've had a lot of questions about Companion and what these ETX files mean. And the only thing an ETX file is it's a zip file and it's got your models and your radio settings in it. That's all. And if you go back to Companion and hit read, if I read this document, takes a second to read it in here, but we'll let it finish reading in. But once it's done, I have my models right here and my radio settings. That explains the contents of an ETX document, which is really a zip file that's got your model YAML and your radio YAML file. Okay, mind blown? Everybody understands, right? Clear as mud, right? Everybody's got it. All right, I expect some conversation on Discord about that. All right. That's the EdgeTX secrets revealed. I kind of hope you guys, I'm really trying to give you an inside look at that as to how the radio works. Because the more you understand that, the easier the radio gets to handle, right? The more you understand it, then you're like, yeah. And it all starts with making a backup. Make a backup first. Before you do anything else, make a backup of your stuff, okay? Back your stuff up, because once you have a backup of the SD card, you can act with impunity. You can do whatever you want. You just, when you're done, you just copy your backup back to your radio and you're back to where you started. It's that simple. Okay? All right. All right, guys. That's it for EdgeTX Secrets Revealed. This is the only place on the internet you're going to get this stuff. I guarantee it. Nobody digs into it the way I do. I'm special. I'm special. My mom had me tested, so. All right, let's see. Next up is RC3D. Oh, cool. I have some cool stuff on RC3D to show you. So I'm going to go back to the workspace now. We don't need the camera anymore. And I'm going to bring this in. Actually, I do need the camera. I got to turn the camera back on. So here we go. RC3D, I made this. This is what I freaking love about the hobby. If you guys have seen the 90mm Avanti, I've been threatening this for a while. There is an exhaust thrust ring out there on Thingiverse. And if you go search on Thingiverse for 90mm Avanti, you'll find this part. This is a remix, by the way. I'm going to be clear. I did not design this. I didn't. I remixed it. I've been using this one on a lot of my EDF jets. And the reason that I like this one so much is because of its weight. I've seen a bunch of these types of devices where they print, it's a really heavy cone. It's that big. It's like 30 grams on the back of the tail, on the tail of the jet. That's the wrong answer. Don't do that, man. You're taking a little bit of weight, adding it on the back end of a big lever. You remember when you were a kid, there's always the skinny kid and the fat kid on the seesaw. And the skinny kid you had to move the seesaw and put the skinny kid way out on the end, and the fat kid was real close to the fulcrum. It's the same story. Same story with airplanes, okay? You don't want to take a really heavy tailpiece and put it way out there away from the fulcrum or the center of gravity, because if you do, it's going to screw up your balance. So I see it all the time, man. People glue these things on. They're like, my plane flies like crap. Well, this one is super lightweight. That's why I picked it. It's super, super lightweight. So all I did with this one is it's out there for, I think, an 80 millimeter Avanti, and I simply rescaled it. Now, the trick is on the 90 millimeter Avanti right here, they had this little foam bump out. You have to take a razor knife and cut it off. And you can see right in this area, right at the top, that's black Sharpie, because where I cut that ring off, it exposed the white foam underneath. So all I did was take a black Sharpie, color in the white foam, use a little contact cement, drop this baby right on top of there. And now the Avanti tail looks like it's finished. Like, it's so much better looking with that on there. I don't understand why these manufacturers go through all the trouble they go through doing all the scale detail, and then they forget something like the tail cone on the back. It looks completely unfinished. It looks naked, like a plumber's crack hanging out of the back of a pair of blue jeans. It just looks terrible. You got to finish the job, manufacturers. Put the tail cones on there, man. It looks better. But anyway, RC3D, I freaking love this hobby. On Thingiverse, search for 90 millimeter Avanti. I just took some measurements. I measured with some calipers the inside diameter, the outside diameter of the plane. Well, you can't see the plane anymore, but there it is. I measured the inside and outside diameter of the plane. I rescaled the part to fit and printed it out. This is actually, that picture is my first copy. I didn't even have a beta part. That is the first copy, the first print. So RC3D, man, isn't it cool? Little 3D printing, and it's all the business, man. I love RC3D. It's one of my favorite things to do. I really do. I just love it. It's such a cool part of the hobby. If you don't have a 3D printer and you're into radio control, man, you are missing out. You are definitely missing out. All right, let's see. I'm going to check comments before we move on, and then we're going to move on. So Propsoft says, I build mud pies. We're talking about airplane builds. That's right. Dave Parker says, in my case, John's money, my hobby. Yeah. Hey, we try and include Dave. Dave's a great asset to the channel. I'm trying to include him in and make sure the channel, helps get him taken care of and put some parts in his hands too, for sure. Let's see. Mitch says, I love to build, but some of the best pilots I know hate to whatever trips your trigger. That's right, man. Mitch, you got it, man. It's whatever makes you happy. We don't get to dictate to anybody what makes us happy, and that's what they should do, right? That's the point. Dave Parker says, in the RC aviation world, there's a very strange phenomenon. That's when you turn wood, foam, fiberglass, or plastic into crap. That's funny. Very true. It's easy to do, too. Robert says, hi, everyone. Glad you can make it, Robert. And Johnny says, mind blown. I got it. Aero Modelissimo, Patagonia, Argentina says, hello. Glad you can make it. Robert says, good job, John. Thanks. And special in an Olympic kind of way is what you're saying. I am. Yeah, I'm special. My mom had me tested, so I'm special. You need to add $3 and change it just to get the center of gravity back. $3 and change. Or just move the battery up just a little bit. On my Avanti, my battery is all the way back, and there's room up front. So all I have to do on my plane is just move it forward just a little bit, and I'm perfectly balanced again. But be wary of those super heavy tail cones. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. Don't put the heavy unless you have a lot of headroom on the front end to balance it again, okay? So these little skinny ones, the little lightweight ones, they do the job. That's super lightweight. And by the way, this is for Dave's Avanti. So I printed another one for Dave, and this is for him. We'll get him to put it on his. And we'll relentlessly tease him about how his Avanti, how his Avanti looks like plumber's butt. Okay? So I'm counting on you guys to let him have it until he shows you a picture of his Avanti 90 millimeter exhaust ring on his Avanti. Counting on it. Shadow Stricker says, hello, how you doing? Okay. All right. That's it for RC3D. Next up is Q&A. How about that? We're rounding third and head for home. Q&A. Where's my Q&A? Why is that not showing up? Give me a second. We're solving problems. Of course it's not sized right. Whose fault is that? Robert. I'm waiting for Robert. You got to let Robert have his fun. He'll say, one job, John. One job. Okay, there we go. There's Q&A. There's the preview window. All right, let's get into it. Let's see. What do we have here? Let's see. TTRT says, thanks, John. Bert, you guys have been very helpful as my online mentor. I'm still a Mikado user, but I'm also a Rotorflight user now, and I enjoy them both differently. Thanks. All the best to both of you. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. This is exactly my point. This is in the spirit of your money, your hobby, right? It doesn't matter to me if you fly Rotorflight or Mikado. I don't care. I simply do content on stuff that I like, and what TTRT, he's got the right idea, right? I like Mikado for some stuff. I like the Rotorflight stuff. It's cool. I'm having fun with both, and there we go. What type of filament do you use to print that? I used black PET G. It's bamboo PET G for that one. But, anything will work because it's not load bearing. PLA would work fine. All right, Robert. See, I preempted Robert. He said, I love it when I don't have to say one job, John. See, I preempted you, Robert. I know what you're going to do. That's how we've been hanging around quite a while, so it's always good to have friends. Anyway, TTRT, yeah, he's got the right idea, man. Do what makes you happy, right? All right, let's see. Why this thing, I don't like, it's not shaped right. Hold on, I gotta fix, because it's gonna annoy the crap out of me. There we go. There we go. That looks better. Okay, let's see. This is Big Eclipse. He says, oh, this generated a bunch of conversation. We went back and forth on this. He says, he's talking about the Hoda F6. He says, I heard this one has issues with being power hungry. It needs a good power supply. Could you comment on this? Do you have any power supplies you could test and get back to me? Okay. Let's clear some noise up here. Chargers themselves don't consume power outside of what it needs to operate the circuitry and the display. Okay. Now, this particular charger is capable of 1,000 watts in aggregate, 250 watts per channel. So 4 channels, 250 watts each. So if you're going to hit it at 250 watts per channel, and that means 1,000 watts total, then you need a power supply that can deliver the 1,000 watts. My answer, and we went back and forth on this, is that I personally like, you guys know Ohm's law, volts times amps is watts, right? Is that Ohm's law? No, that's not Ohm's law. Is it? No, it's not. Anyway, I don't remember. It's one of the two, but the idea of volts times amps is watts. That is a law. And the idea is that if you take 1,000 watts and divide it by 12 volts, let's get a calculator out and just check the work there. 1,000 divided by 12, that means 83 amps is what you'll need on the 12 volt line to supply 250 watts per channel. Now, if you take that same 1,000 watts and divide it by 24 volts, which is a 24 volt system, you cut it in half. It's 41 amps. So I tend to go for higher voltage these days as my power supply because that lowers the amp requirements. It doesn't change the wattage factor. The wattage is still the same. So it doesn't matter if I have 4 ports in use and I'm asking for 250 watts per channel. That's 250 watts per channel times 4. That's 1,000 watts. That means I need the supply source to give me 1,000 watts. And now there are a couple of different ways you can get there. If you use a 24 volt system, you can deliver 41 amps. If you use a 12 volt system, you're delivering it with 83 amps, right? It's a law. It's immutable. It's not up for conversation. So it's not that the power supply is any hungrier than any other power supply. It's just a simple question of what does the power supply, what can the charger do? And the charger in this case can do 1,000 watts. So now you have to know the formula so you can figure out, okay, in order to supply that 1,000 watts, if you're going to use it at that level, which is hard to do, by the way, now what kind of voltage do you want to supply it? And then that also dictates your current handling capacity you'll need to have as well. Okay? Okay, so that's it on that one. I wanted to make sure that we talked about this idea that it's never the charger itself that's hungry. It's the charger's ability to provide wattage to a load that is what dictates how much power consumption you have. Okay, it's Ohm's law. Oh, okay, I thought it was. I wasn't sure if Ohm's law was that one or if it was the one with resistance. I thought it might be the one with resistance. Anyway, that's that. This is one that listen. This is a comment. This is the kind of thing that gets my blood pressure up because I don't know Sanic Proger. He says arming always should be on channel 1 on ELRS. Wrong. That's just wrong. This is the kind of thing that gets my blood pressure up because you're pontificating and saying you're stating something as fact that's completely wrong. Arming is never on channel 1 on ELRS. It's on aux 1, which is channel 5. So you got to be clear. You got to be precise. And I think maybe that's what he meant to say was aux 1, not channel 1. But on EdgeTX, we don't have the concept of auxiliary channels, right? We just don't have it. On EdgeTX, you got 1 through 16, whatever. We don't have an aux 1. But if you were talking about aux 1, that is not channel 1. That is channel 5. You got to be careful with these things, man. You got to be careful. All right. Rafael Torres. He says, it's been a while since I've seen this video, but I want to go back to airframes. So I wanted to point something out. And by the way, okay, let's tackle the Ryan first. Tower Hobbies, they had, before Horizon acquired them, they had a really sweet little balsa lineup going on. And they had some nice little foamies. And of course, frickin' E-Flight came in and killed the foamy lineup, which still kind of grates my nerves this day. Kind of pisses me off that they did that, because Tower had a really nice little foam lineup going. Good little decent foam airplanes. But they also have some nice little balsa planes out there. Go check out Tower. If you're looking for, and by the way, they're non-internally sourced product is Phoenix. It's the Phoenix line. I've done a lot of Phoenix planes. They're heavy. They are heavy, but they fly well. And they are always, Phoenix is like always the 3-foot plane. Phoenix is never really good about the up close detail, but 3 feet away or flying in the sky, they look great. And they're also heavy. So just keep that in mind. Phoenix planes are heavy, but they're sturdy, kind of sturdy. Like they're okay. They're not fantastic. They're not terrible. They're just kind of middle of the road. But the Tower Hobbies stuff, man, they are really good. The Tower Hobbies Ryan STA is nice. They've got the Chaos 60 is in stock, by the way. You can get that. The Revolver is back. The big Revolver is back. The Revolver 60, you can get that. So point is, Raphael mentioned, hey, I found your Ryan STA video. I'm going to build this. I'm going to do it the way you did. And they've got it for $179. And it's a great looking plane. So don't forget about Tower Hobbies. This goes back to our airframe discussion earlier, right? Is this a 3D, set your hair on fire, smack 3D? No, it's not. Is it it's a sport plane is what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. It's a sport plane. It is perfectly competent doing some rolls and loops and cube and eights. And, if that's your level of talent, that's what you like to do, God bless you. Go do it, right? Have fun. Go get one. They're beautiful airplanes. You see, this is the point. This is what I mean. Go fly something. Go fly something, right? So I hope, Raphael, I hope you have a great time with that one. Nice little plane. Okay. RC Copter Love. I love this comment, man. This is dedication. He says, already with the intro with the propeller hat is great. He's talking about when Dave was wearing the M2 on his head. So that was good. This little beast is just so much fun. I'm out on the field almost every day with my M2 Evo Mark II, even though right now in Poland it's freezing cold and my fingers don't like me so much anymore. But this little heli gives me so much fun. Tails holding, amazing. Great review and flight. Thanks a lot. I love this kind of comment, man. RC Copter Love, that is the comment of the week. I love it. Go fly something, man. He's out there freezing his fingers off, but he's flying the hell out of his little M2 Evo Mark II. So that's fantastic. I'm really happy to hear that. Good for him. Go fly something. All right. Let's see. Jay says, uploading a ton of crashing R71s in the high alpha to YouTube in summer. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think he's right. I wonder how many of these planes are going in. All right. Lucci says, see, this is another one of these. You got to be careful. This is a sucker's question, man. It's a trick question. And it's one of the ones that gets people like, they're like, oh, it sucks. It's going to be terrible. How is the black painted foam expected to handle the sun? Well, I got news for you. EPO foam does not handle sun worth a crap. And I don't care if it's on an SR-71 or on a Mustang, or on a Trojan, or a Waco. It doesn't matter. If you put EPO out in the direct sunlight, I don't care if it's red, or silver, or black, or white, or any other color, you're going to get alligator skin. See, this is what I mean. This is a sucker question. Now, will the black bubble faster? I don't know, maybe. I can tell you that I had an Avanti one day on a really kind of overcast day, and it freaking bubbled on me. You just got to cover them. If you're going to have EPO, just cover it, man. Just cover it. That's all I can say. This is a sucker question. They all freaking get alligator skin in the sun, period. Doesn't matter. Now, black may be a little faster, but who cares? Fast, that's all relative, man. I've seen EPO bubble in a matter of minutes. So yeah, I wouldn't get wrapped around the axle on that. EPO foam does not like direct sunlight. Cover that stuff up. All right, so here's why I told you we were going to get into this. Comments and questions. $729 for a piece of foam and a cheap parachute. No way. So that says yet another project. And then the next guy, this is the middle of the road. He says, whoa, now that's a big boy toy, $729. Not really. I got bad news for you. These guys are flying the 67-inch plus, the 78s, 85s. Yeah, those are bigger boy. And the ones that are flying 125s, they're even bigger. And then if you really want to get crazy, go watch the turbines at $12,000 to $20,000 a pop. So no, $729 is still kind of cheap. It's all relative though, right? At the end of the day, it's relative. There's an old meme out there that has to do with Michael Jordan. And it went something along the lines of, Michael Jordan went to bed and he wakes up the next day, he's $86,000 richer just for interest. It cost him more money to stop and bend over and pick up $1,000 bill than it does to keep walking. He can buy Ferraris at the rate you and I can buy stamps, right? It kind of makes you embarrassed about income when you hear stories like that. And then the meme ends with, and Bill Gates can buy Michael Jordan over 50 times. Game over, geek wins. It's all relative, man. That's the point. $729 might be expensive to you, but I know people spend $729 on just the engine, or more than just the engine. Hell, I know people spend $729 on the exhaust pipe. So it's all relative though. So don't let anyone make you feel bad, man. Your budget is your budget, right? It's just the way it is. So don't let people talk down to you about it. And then the other end of the copy is, please just take my money. So this is what I mean. You have, please take my money. Oops, that would make me scared to fly it. And the next guy says, no way, it's ridiculous. I'm not going to pay that. Right? So people are all over the place, but this just proves the point. It's all relative. It's all relative, man. People are going to have different points of view. I'm sure they're going to sell a lot of these SR-71s. I'm sure it's going to happen. And that's it for Q&A. But see, this is what I'm saying, guys. It's your money, your hobby. Just do what makes you happy. Get out and fly. Get an airplane and fly. If you can afford a $729 SR-71 and you want to go fly foam military bomber in circles or spy plane in circles, go ahead. If that's what makes you happy, then go ahead. Who am I to tell you shouldn't do that, right? It's not for me. I won't do that. I'd rather, try and learn the helicopters, or try and, Dave and I try and push each other on developing some 3D skills, and so does Fred. And, so, I tend to be a little bit more in the camp of, I want to see it doing some crazy stuff, but that doesn't mean there isn't a place for it, man. So, and don't worry what other people say. Just have fun. That's the point. It's about community. Everybody should be welcome to the community. And by the way, on that note, I'm going to give these guys a shout out. All those helicopters there, they all showed up for the RCVR fly-in, man. We invited them, and they came from Miami. They came from West Palm. They came from all over the place and came and visited with us on the fly-in. And again, it's about community. These guys really do demonstrate the spirit of RC as a community. And I love hanging out with them. It's been fun. It's been fun to get exposure to that side of the hobby a little bit. They've been a great group of guys. I've thoroughly enjoyed hanging out with them. Oh, and yeah, they invited me to the Skids Up podcast. Don't forget to listen to the Skids Up podcast. Check that out if you get a chance. I was on the last one. I think it was episode 67, I think. And that was, it says RC video reviews in the title. And they want to bring us back, and we might even bring Freddie in for the next visit. How about that? Okay. All right, that's it for Q&A. Let me check comments. We'll get moving. Micro helis are crazy good these days. Yeah. So, that reminds me, Rob, when I was talking about airframes, I told you guys that Betaflight, it's kind of an exception to the rule. And I would say that I want to add a qualifier in that large airframe thing, that when you have an abstraction layer like a fly barless or a flight controller like an iNav or a Copilot or a Betaflight, that changes the rules a little bit when it comes to how aircraft handle the wind and, flight conditions, because now you have a computer aiding in your aviation. So it kind of changes the rules. That's why the M2, the micro heli, is so good, because it's got an excellent fly barless and it flies like a much bigger helicopter. Okay. All right. Let's see. Fly stuff makes you whole. That's right. 4i says Lexan on canopies will even sag. That's right. That's why I use covers on my balsa stuff because I don't want that Lexan to sag. He's absolutely right about that. Glenn Chia says money. I go for cost effective. That's what EdgeTX is. Even if my peers may consider the build quality could use some improvement. Glenn, you and I are of like mind there. To me, it's about value, right? I want the value. It's not about the dollar amount. It's about the value, and that's what I'm looking for. Here's one for you. 1 million seconds is 11 months. 1 billion seconds is 31 years. How about that? Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's relativity at work, right? Johnny Stanton says, do I want a 729 SR1 hanging from the garage ceiling? Hell yeah. See? It's going to be all over the place. Jerry says, gyro. I got the Radio Master ER6 working with MPU 6050. The only problem is the gain control works only on rate mode, but not level. Wonder why. Yeah, it's unfinished, Jerry. That's all there is to it. It's not finished. It's not a finished project. Even if you didn't fly it, it would be the coolest thing in your garage. Yeah, that's a point too, right? That SR71 does look pretty cool. Northwest 49 says, I'm building a Dart 250 with a Speedy F405. Nice combo. Having trouble getting sats. Anyone have special tips to get it to activate? I do not know. Robert says 48-inch EF or Skywing 3D plane plus gyrostab. Yeah, again, that's using an abstraction layer to help out with the aviation tools. So, wind rejection mode, auto leveling, whatever mode you use them. But yeah, when you add computer aided assist, that changes the equation a little bit. But he's not wrong. And by the way, Freddie's been flying the hell out of a 48-inch MXS with the gyro and having a good time. Thoughts on the EF Gamebird 1 for a second plane to 67-inch 540T. Man, I love the GB one. Man, the Gamebird is awesome. Very short tail moment, very tumbly, very aggressive flyer if you want. But it also lands well. So I love the Gamebird. I think the Gamebird is an awesome looking plane. I had one. I crashed it. Yeah, I was screwing around. I crashed it. So I'm a big fan of the Gamebird. I'd love to see it in a 67-inch format. I would get one again if they put it in a 67 for sure. Okay. All right, that's that. Oh, the giveaway. Let's do the giveaway. We can go back to the workspace. So nope, we're going to use the Blackboard this time. We're going to put this group away. We're going to do the, where's the giveaway? It's hiding. All right, what is going on here? Giveaway rules. This is a little refresher on the rules. All right, let's see. Is this the right one? Oh, here it is. Giveaway winner, dribble winner. There we go. Giveaway winner. Let's do the refresh on the rules first. So remember, I drew the winner from comments, and you had to use the word gimme or gimme in your comment, and that was in the comments after the video posts. The winner will be announced on the 2.7 PilotJam only, which is right now 2.7. That's the one we're on. The winner will have to send John at rcvideoreviews.com an email with a government-issued ID showing you're over the age of 18 by tomorrow night at 2100 GMT -5. You must include your exact mailing address for the prize. The only thing I need to see is your name, the fact that you're over the age of 18, and the exact mailing address. I don't want to see anything else. I don't care about your blood type. I don't care about your social security number. I don't care about any of that. Remember, don't fall for any comms via Telegram. I'm announcing the winner here, and that's the only place it'll be announced. And for the winner, if you don't send me that email by tomorrow at 2100, then I'm going to pick somebody else and you lose out. And that's that. That's the end of that. Okay. So we'll go over to the giveaway scene and we'll do a little drum roll. Oh, I guess we should do the big camera. Let me remind you guys what's at stake here. And I'll remind you guys also, these are the RCVR plane setup models for your desktop. So I'm sending out, this is a 3D printed model, and it requires, the links are in my Etsy store for all the hardware. You can get the servos, the hardware connections. I'm only sending the plastic unit out, the 3D printed unit out. And this is a special color combo. It's not available on my Etsy store. This is RCVR color, silver and white. The only color missing is red. So anyway, this will be sent out to the winner. And it just as you see it, airplane and controls. And yeah, these are available in my Etsy store if you'd like to get one. So back to the winner. Let's do a little bit of a drum roll. And winner is... Oh, damn it. The winner didn't show up. I was robbed. What did I do with it? Oh, let's see. Did I delete it? What the heck happened? I know what I did. Oh, I know what I deleted it somehow. Hold on. What did I do with it? Did I delete the whole thing? I did. How on hell did I do that? Anyway, it's Carlos. Carlos Pep. He is the winner. So Carlos, you're the winner. I don't know what the heck did I do. It's gone. My little winner logo is gone. Where did it go? I'm so sad about that. I had it. Let me see. Let me find my preview window. 1 second here. I had it here. It was open. Where did it go? Oh man. Let's see. I'm just going to open a little logo file and see if I can open recent. There's no open recent. I don't know where the hell it went. It's Carlos. Carlos, you won. I know, Robert. What the hell, man? It was here. It was here. I had it. It's desktop 81410 PNG. Did I move it to another folder? Let's see. Let me just check. 81410. Nope. I don't know where the hell it went. It's gone. Anyway, Carlos, you won. Carlos from Miami, you are the winner. So send me your license and we'll get you taken care of. Sorry about the logo. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Apparently, I've dropped a packet. I've lost something. I've lost a step. It's happening. You guys are seeing it live. Anyway, that's the winner. Carlos from Miami, you know who you are. He knows who he is. He wrote, gimme, gimme, gimme. He's the winner. So, Carlos, send me your license. We'll get you squared away with the RCVR 2 model. Okay, sorry about the screw up. All right, let's see. Coming up, I have news. If you guys, all right, so you guys all know my hands down, my favorite airplane ever, all-time favorite, is the Extreme Flight Laser, right? Extreme Flight Laser, definitely my favorite. And that airplane, they just came out with, and it's been a while. It's been a while in the making. They just came out with the 85-inch at Extreme Flight. It's on pre-order, and I did it. I pre-ordered it. So the 85-inch laser is inbound, and we're going to build that and fly the hell out of it. So I love that airplane. I'm going to fly it. We're going to have a good time. Another one that's inbound is, I put the link in the Discord. It was the Sea Wind by Tower Hobbies. And the reason I did that one was because they had a $100 off sale. So I don't know if anyone else took advantage of it. It's a $279 plane. They had it marked down $100 off. And the reason I bought a seaplane is because this particular plane has retracts and it's a seaplane. So it's a boat. And we're going to be going, Fred and Dave and I are going to be going down to West Palm Beach to be doing some water flying. We're going to be flying off the water. So I needed to get a seaplane put together, and I've got the seaplane on the way. So we'll do a first look video. We'll do a maiden flight up here at Larks, and we'll get it ready for flying off the water. But be on the lookout for that. So, and that's a foamy, by the way. And you know what? I don't care. I'm going to have fun flying that plane. I'm going to have a good time. It'll be fun. So the seaplane, that's the Sea Wind, and that's a 1400 millimeter. So it's what, 56 inches or something like that. Pretty decent size. So that one's on the way, and the laser is on the way, and it's a sponsored airplane. So we've got some sponsored hardware on that one. That'll be coming in as well. So we'll talk more about that when we get closer. We're still waiting for the container to show up. It should show up next week, and we'll get that once the container shows up, and then they process the orders and get them out. We'll do a first look kind of video on the 85-inch laser, and I can't wait, man. I'm so looking forward to getting my hands on that airplane. That's going to be my big Mac Daddy. That's going to be my big splurge of 2025 is an 85-inch laser. So there we go. Let's see. He has a 1-to-3 ratio, and the laser ratio is 0-to-2. John does taxes too. Just yeah, that's pretty funny. Don't tell him that, Robert. Gosh, man. Yeah, I'm really sorry about the image. I don't know. I was cleaning up my desktop, and I must have deleted it, but I could have swore ahead of this session I had that image ready to go. I had it all set up, man. I had the whole giveaway scene right there. See, had the drum roll ready, had a little winter thing. I was set. I don't know what the hell happened to my image. It just went away. Kind of annoying, but whatever. It's life happens. Carlos from Miami, you won. You know who you are, Carlos. You came up. Last year you came up during the RCVR flying. I met you. I've met you. I know who you are. So he won. All right, guys, that is it. So now you know what's coming up. Oh, and I still owe some footage from the RCVR fly-in. Again, the reason I didn't publish that one was because I really wanted to let the SR71 video have the floor for a little while. And again, remember, this one will be marked unlisted when this is over. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to unlist it because I want that SR71 to keep getting the hits. Okay? All right, guys, that's a PilotJam for Friday, February 7th. I hope you all have a fantastic evening. And if the weather permits, I hope you get out there and fly something. I know Dave, Fred, and I are going to go flying tomorrow. So we're going to get out there. We're going to fly something. We're going to have a good time. I hope you do the same. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. That's all I've got for tonight. Take it easy.